What is up, Celtics Late Night? Welcome, everyone. Ben Vallis here, along with Jake Eisenberg. The Celtics won their last game on this 4-game road trip. They end up 3-1 on the road trip. But I think we've got Salty Jake with us as we talk about the Celtics losing in overtime to one of the worst teams in the NBA, Jake. Jake, how we doing?
We're doing okay. The Celtics are bad now. What the hell, dude?
Yep.
We thought they were good. And 2 days in a row, they've been very bad, which I knew they would be bad today. I bet on the Hornets to win, money line, straight up. So nice win for myself. Obviously, partly an emotional hedge as per usual, but I've had a good feel for this team so far this year. I've nailed a couple of times where they've been big favorites and bet the line. I've also nailed a couple times the Timberwolves game and now this one. They're not so different. I think as people are, they're different. Absolutely.
Compared to last year, you mean?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. They're different, but I don't think they're quite as different as people have been making them seem like. Every time the Celtics have won one of these games where they don't look so good, they say, last year's Celtics team loses this game. Last year's Celtics team won 57 games. Jason Tatum put the Celtics up 105-96 with a layup with 3 minutes and 13 seconds to go.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would have thought that this team would have just put that away because they're different. But, man, if it was, just kind of a bed shitting, pants shitting.
Bed shitting, pants shitting, shitting of all the things. Absolutely. We were up 9 with 2 minutes left. And according to Brian Robb of MassLive.com and more recently of CLNS, a 98.7% win probability at that specific moment. It felt like a 98.7 win probability in my brain at that specific moment. And yet, because we're still so close to the... you said 57 games were won, and yet I'll call it the trauma of certain parts of last year. As it's falling away, as the lead is being pissed away, you're like, oh my God, it's happening, and it's exactly what happened. And it's at the same time surprising because it's the first real instance of okay, like you said, maybe they're not so different. And yet we've had enough time to build so much hype around the differences of this team that it is somewhat shocking as well simultaneously.
Yeah, we haven't, built the hype train, sent it out to space at all.
Well, that's the thing. We'll blow out the Bucks in a couple of days' time, and then suddenly it's going to be fire up the duck boats all over again. So we ride the wave. We ride the wave.
I do want to just be look, the games against the Hornets and the games against the Grizzlies, they don't really matter. The games against the Sixers, the games against the Heat, the games against the Knicks, the game against the Bucks. Those are the games that matter. And up until this point, they've taken care of business against everyone. They may need a little a restructure or, to be shocked back into place. It is one of those long seasons because it became very evident very quickly that when this team is firing in all cylinders, they are better than last year. And watching the game with my dad yesterday, even though it was a very frustrating game, even today in the clutch, where they weren't as good as previously, there are definitely far few. This is not an official stat I'm able to pull, but possessions spent screaming at my TV in the clutch because they're going too slow or doing something dumb is absolutely down, and that was definitely true yesterday, and even was true today. Tatum missed layups in the clutch. Jalen had a 3 go in and out. There was definitely, the Drew Holiday missed free throws. Maybe at the top of this list to miss both of those. And everyone's out for blood for Jalen, and that's fair. But Drew Holiday absolutely should be co-captain of the Titanic tonight.
Yeah, Tatum as well. The missed third free throw, and I was saying,
he had 45, so I can't put him at the top.
Yeah, I know, and yet it's your best player at the line with the game on the line in a position to tie it. And he didn't. Yeah, sure, but your expectations are that your best player executes in those moments. And he did not, but, Drew Holiday has been someone's best player before. He certainly has the resume and the capabilities to convert in that moment. To miss 2 in a row, borderline unforgivable. And then like KP missing free throws all night. Really, it was a terrible free throw shooting game for a lot of the team, and a terrible 3-point shooting game for a lot of the team. Like just bringing up the box score here. How do we do 3-point shooting wise? So 32% as a team, which includes
that's
Tatum. Tatum shooting 47% from 3. Pritchard, who we'll get to, shooting 63% from 3. Mihailuk shooting 50%, and yet as a team, poor shooting performances all around, including 1 for 9 from Sam Hauser, who was probably due for a stinker. That's a tough pill to swallow. And then Porzingis 1 for 8 from 3. So we got good looks. So I think part of this, this game in a vacuum, we can do the whole, we just didn't hit our threes. That's part of it. But it's felt like for the back end of this road trip, really the majority of it, the last 3 games, so Raptors, Grizzlies, and then this game, the Celtics have been barely holding on and just scraping out those wins. And so as much as this sucks and as disappointing as it is, they were kind of due, I think. Like they've been falling and sliding further and further. So this loss kind of in hindsight feels inevitable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually thought they played better today than they did yesterday. At least Tatum is always kind of the most important player, obviously. And the Grizzlies game, he was checked out. He has to be aggressive. He has to get shots up. That's his job. Like first and foremost, that's what he has to do. And that was very evident very early that he was doing the thing that he does to the Charlotte Hornets, which is just eviscerate them. The problem was it felt like he thought that he was just going to be able to kind of sleepwalk to the end here, and he wasn't able to. They needed to close the game. Like the first half, right? He's 10 for 15 and has 31 points, and in the second half, he's sorry, my stream just started playing. He's 4 for 11, 1 for 4 from 3. And so he wasn't able, and then maybe that's like a second half of the back-to-back thing, but it definitely felt like he was nonchalant coming out into the second half. It felt like he was going to be able to he thought that he was going to be able to just Charlotte Hornet his way to 50, and he was going to blow a kiss to the sideline, and that was going to be that. And the Hornets, they do have enough talent. They do. When it's, LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, and Mike Richards, those are 5 players, plus Brandon Miller, the second overall pick. Honestly, any NBA team, whether it's Desmond Bain, Santi Aldama, if you don't respect the game, start to finish, you're going to play with fire. And these players are absolutely good enough. LaMelo Ball has the talent to just get hot, catch fire, and
it was great. He
was incredible, and he's especially the type of player that's gonna take advantage. I mean, I think you guys may have spoken about it yesterday on the podcast, but the Celtics have a target on their back. So when you don't take teams seriously, they are taking you seriously. The Charlotte Hornets are gonna try in a third of their games this year, but they may have tried the hardest out of all 82 tonight. And that's going to be true of pretty much every team that you play.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, it's why, you have to respect the game. You have to respect the opponents, everything you said. It's also why every now and then a subpar team is going to get up on you, because to you, the game just means so much less than it does to them. And unfortunately, this was the stars aligning as Jazz Oaf says in the chat.
Jazz Oaf.
Welcome. Jazz Oaf, welcome. And also, just let's take a moment, Jake, to welcome everyone in the chat. People who rock up to these streams after a loss, it's always 1/3 or 1/4 the normal audience. So shout out to you sickos for joining us here on Late Night as we try and make sense.
Self-harm enthusiasts right here.
Yeah, we're going through it together. We're on the roller coaster together. We have the moments where it's click, 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 click going up, and our arms are up and we're ready to plunge down into euphoria. And then we have these moments where we're upside down and coins and phones are falling out of our pockets, so we don't know
puking
if we're ever going to get them back.
Each other.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So
shout out to everyone in the chat, and this won't be on the podcast feed, so we can just hang out and talk shit. So if you've got any thoughts or comments, let us know and we'll talk about it. We have no run sheet, but I will ask while you're here, please like the stream, subscribe to the podcast, share it with some friends, help us navigate the algorithm.
Yeah.
follow us anywhere. Yeah. It's it's hard out here. There's so many Celtics content makers and podcast producers and whatnot, and it's hard to stand out among all of them. So thank you. Anyway, Jake, you mentioned that this game was better than the Grizzlies game. I agree. There were points, like I've got a few notes here. I don't have a run sheet. I will admit to a few notes. And like there were times where the defense and the offense, the team holistically, were humming at a better level. Mm-hmm. There was more fluidity rather was back in this game where it was absent in the Grizzlies game. And there were stretches where just like, yeah, look, we're absolutely going to put them away, going up like well into double figures there. We saw not so much of the full court press tonight, but a defensive action that I really like from the Celtics that we saw as we were really increasing our lead there was, I think it was LaMelo Ball. He has the ball on the top of the key. I can't find my note on it here. And then we double team the ball handler on the perimeter as the ball handler turns their back to the basket. And then a weak side corner defender rotates to deny the pass out of that double team, and they've just got nowhere to go. And we kept trapping them with that action and turning them over. And turning teams over has been a huge problem for this team so far this season. And we continue to spam that defensive action and get some really good looks in transition out of it. It was really where Jalen, for example, was most able to apply himself in this game. And then we just went away from it in times where, we could have used a fuckload more turnovers, Jake. And it just didn't seem like the application was there like throughout the course of the game, which has been the problem for this team this year.
The defense didn't come to play tonight really at all for the most part. There was definitely moments, obviously. I mean, Porzingis is definitely like one of the most steady defenders on the team. I thought Drew Holiday struggled at times defensively today, even though I thought, like, again, everything is relative here, where, Drew Holiday defensively wasn't his best, but that he was still good. But, Tatum falling asleep on backdoor cuts is just not something that I'm used to at all. It's very, very odd. I'm used to Jalen doing it, but we can't have Jalen and Jason falling asleep on backdoor cuts. Like, one of the things that I love most about Jason is how he's like one of the most elite off-ball defenders. One of his most underrated traits as a player is how good he is off-ball. He's a weak side rim protector. He gets hands in passing lanes. He shuts down all cuts coming from the weak side. But like he was it Gordon Hayward who he lost backdoor in the clutch moment. Yeah, that felt like a cosmic moment.
Well,
right
there was a duality of emotions there, because in the first half there was at least one play, certainly more, where it was Tatum posting up Gordon Hayward and like turning around and Kobe jump shotting over him and scoring. And it was like, wow, look how far we've come since like the emotional dependency on Gordon Hayward being the guy to get us over the line. And wow, like our all-star, superstar, all-NBA first-team player is just like dicing him up. To the end of the game where, like you said, he'd come out hot, Tatum that is, in the first half, kind of gave up in the second half to the point where he allowed Gordon Hayward, old washed-up Gordon Hayward, to backdoor cut him and get what ultimately ended up being one of the game-winning buckets for the Hornets there. So it went both ways in this one, Jake. It was tough. Tough one to watch as a Celtics diehard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, look, it's hard to pass these things. And, honestly, man, Mary Poppins, don't get me, this is not the type of D that I'm used to.
Feel the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with this Celtics team. It's been a much more soothing D, consistent D, as opposed to today. It was just, you got a flash of it working. It fell back down. It popped back up again. But, we weren't able to maintain it.
Well, speaking of not getting the D that you used to, Jake, Derek White was not in this game.
Exactly
and
right.
We have lost all of the Derek Whiteless games.
Yes, correct.
I saw Greeny tweet this out, but he leads the Celtics players by far in plus-minus in the clutch. He's like a plus 25 in the clutch, and I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but I think the next highest is Tatum in like the low teens, for example.
Yeah, man. Well, he did it again in the Memphis game where he hit a monster clutch 3 in the same corner that he hit it in the Raptors game.
That's right.
It's kind of just been what he does, and like even when I like tweeted out kind of my takeaways from the Raptors game, and I just left out that Derek hit the biggest shot of the game, because it feels like at this point he hits the biggest shot of the game every game. Sixers, they go up by 1, he just hits a monster 3 and then proceeds to have the 2 following buckets and goes on his own like personal 7-0 run. Biggest shot in the Raptors game, biggest shot in the Grizzlies game. He's our best decision maker, and we didn't have him tonight. And you really feel him in the clutch, and also just in general, because, I mean, we've talked about it. He's arguably the second or third most important player on this team, and you feel it when he's not there. No excuse to lose tonight or play as badly as they did yesterday. I don't know what happened with Derek, because I was working and then I watched the game on delay, so actually I haven't really been on Twitter or anything.
No idea. Personal reasons is the reason
I
he's
saw
out.
that.
Which, like, my first thought was just like, I hope everything is okay.
So do
with
I.
the
Yeah,
new baby.
absolutely. This is my first thought as well.
And to go any further than that would be unfair speculation, but that's just where the mind naturally wanders. But hopefully everything's all right there, and hopefully we see him back, and more importantly, everyone in his family and life healthy. So with Derek White out, Drew Holiday gets turned up a little bit, up maybe a little bit too far. Do you think that Drew is trying to do too much?
Yes, but this is what the Bucks fans warned us about. Was that the Drew does too much thing? The CTE. Drew has, like, I don't know. Have you started to come towards the Drew's not quite, like, the gap between Smart and Drew is not quite as big as everyone has made it out to be? Because when Drew's asked to do, like, as much as Marcus would ask to be doing in, like, some of those games, like 7 turnovers and just some disastrous decisions consistently. Like, he was not good, and this has happened every time Derek's been out so far.
There we go. We got the right layout now, Jake. Yeah, I suppose I am. I hate to admit it, I suppose, because life is just so much better when you feel like you won all the trades in the offseason, and we still did.
Yes,
but
don't worry.
Like they have some similar patterns and like thought patterns, it seems, as far as like poor decision making and just like yeeting the ball up when there's like infinite options in terms of moving the ball, passing the ball, being more patient, all of the above. And sometimes I think maybe more so than Marcus, like he converts on those looks. Like sometimes he'll just pull up from 3 and splash it. So overall, I feel more safe and secure with Drew thus far, but he does make some infuriating decisions where I think he should be delegating.
Yeah, and a lot of, like, everything with Drew, I think, is more about how other defenses are willing to guard him, and teams really respect his offensive ability, and they're scared to leave him. But right now he's shooting. This is before today. He was shooting 43.5% from the field, 34.9% from 3. Now, interesting, like his 3-point percentage should come up. He's been a 40% 3-point shooter for years now, and he's getting a lot of clean looks that he's just missing. And that's actually true of a lot of the team right now. Like, Porzingis is down to 33.3 coming into today as well, and then he goes 1 for 8. And something that I have kind of been like, he's definitely not knocking down as many shots as he was earlier. And
still impactful though.
Absolutely. Like, he's had a bunch of I think one thing I'd like to do is go back and just clip together all of the and ones that he's had, because I feel like that's a real skill that he has, is like getting guys off balance, getting a pump fake, and kind of getting bumped. And then one hand, he's got this incredible touch from like the under the basket 8 out to like 6 to 8 feet, where he's feathery touch at getting these shots to go. Like he's still exactly like he has 17 points on 14 shots because he gets to the line 10 times. Typically, he's an 84% free throw shooter. He knocks down 8 of those, 8 out of 10 at least, and they win the game. And he's been doing that a lot. He's been absolutely steady despite the 3-point shot not going down. And that's part of the last couple games too. Especially tonight. We were this close to being up like 20 and this being a blowout, and then we just couldn't quite get it to happen.
Yeah, like it's the lazy approach, and we're capable of more, but we just missed some threes that we might otherwise normally make if we weren't, 4th game into a road trip. Second night of a back-to-back, knowing that we're coming home to face the Bucks in a couple of days. So it could have so easily just been like they hit their threes and we're not even really having this conversation because like, oh, what a great 3-point shooting team. Brad Stevens, he's done it again. He's put the perfect roster together where we just like convert on our open looks. And I guess why it's so disappointing is like we know that they can dig deeper and that they can they have other ways to win. Like you're saying, like the most important ingredient as to why I still feel safe and secure in the notion that we are at least slightly different from last year is what we just talked about with Porzingis, that like he is capable of being impactful despite missing his threes. And while we can't say that about everyone on the roster, like Porzingis, his usage rate's up, like he's a huge integral part of the team. We always have that to go to, and that's just not something we've ever been able to say. And so therefore, as a team, we kind of have the ability to generate offense and generate wins without hitting our threes. And tonight, I guess like they just seemed to refuse to commit to that. Like, but you can kind of understand it given the juncture of the season, the opponent. They're still 11-3, Jake, after that loss. Where we're getting our knickers in a knot, and you know we hate seeing our guys lose, and they played like shit the game before, so fair enough. But like 11-3 is still pretty fucking good.
Oh, absolutely. And I think part of this is PTSD, right? Like
yes.
And I like last year, I definitely said a lot. There's going to be nights where teams just don't bring it and they lose, and it happens to every great team in the league. The Nuggets are on a slide right now. Obviously, they're missing Jamal Murray, but the Celtics are missing Derek White and Al Horford, who, by the way, who has been excellent lately, Al Horford, and to not have him as well as like a really stabilizing force on both ends is a big deal. And so you're missing those two guys. You're on the second night of a back-to-back. In the big picture, these things don't matter. But at the same time, we do know and I think believe that like championship habits are real, especially for a team that is still yet to win a championship. Like if you're the Nuggets and you're Nuggets fans, you're very confident that your team has the ability to get to a level where they can win a championship and do it 4 rounds in a row. And, you know, Tatum has been someone that I've been disappointed with because I think that he kind of is the head of the snake. And you can trade out Marcus Smart for a different voice, but he needs to be the one that brings it on both ends. And he brought it offensively tonight, but defensively he didn't bring it really either game. And I think that kind of can trickle down. It's something that we felt last year, which is why it's like it hurts because you feel like it's PTSD, but then at the same time, every team is going to lose a couple of bad ones. It's just like something to note right now. They probably play well against the Bucks, and then we're going to go on another win streak soon, and everything's going to feel fine. But like, are we going to like see these little blips pop up, and are they just blips and they don't matter? Or are they going to like be blips that pop up and the reason we lose Game 5 in round 1 against Atlanta and lose Game 1 against Philly and lose Game 4 against Philly and lose Game 1, 2, and 3 against Miami?
No,
because,
it's too soon.
I'm sorry.
Too soon.
Because stop.
I had to stop you. I'm sorry.
Because that's the thing. Because you want to be a buzzsaw and you want to know they can turn the buzzsaw on and off whenever they need to. Mm-hmm. And well, you sweep round 1 against an Atlanta team that can give you trouble if you let them.
Yeah, we need like galactic crystals with infinite power at this point, Jake, so the buzzsaw never turns off. It has a limitless and endless source of power. That's the only fate I can accept, given everything that we've seen and the ways that we've dropped out of the playoffs and the finals in the last few years. Yeah, I want to focus on that because it seems like we're toing and froing back and forth between like, yes, this was an anomaly, and if you look at the schedule, it kind of makes sense that they lost this game and the absences, and I don't know, despite the absences, he probably should have beat the Warriors anyway. We're sort of toing and froing between that and like maybe this is indicative of a bigger problem that's going to impact our win total and playoff hopes down the road. Like, so just focusing on this, and then we'll get back to other key contributors in this game. Like, do you expect them to bounce back to form? Are you confident that they will bounce back against the Bucks? And we've got a 6-game homestand coming up here. Like, do you envision this to be a nice, like, enjoyable, sexy chunk of the season?
I do indeed.
Okay, thank you.
I do indeed. Again, two things can be true. I can be a little bit concerned. I can also be like, if you ask me right now who's going to win the Eastern Conference, I think it's the Boston Celtics. I think they match up the best against Milwaukee Bucks, against Philadelphia 76ers, the Miami Heat. I think they have the answers to deal with the Black Magic they're more equipped to deal with that bullshit than they were in previous years. But I just don't like the idea that this team's going to cakewalk through and go like on a 16-4 run and win a title. That is a place I just cannot get to yet.
I'm with you.
At all.
I'm with you.
Yeah, which I think is not crazy. But still, I think they're going to kick the shit out of the Bucks.
But we were dipping our toes in that pool like a week ago of like, oh, this, they could just like, just like train ride through to the championship, right?
Did
like,
we?
Just
I know you did that.
Okay, maybe my self-awareness is like well off. I know I've had a few meetings before these calls recently, Jake, that I've had to jump from work band to Celtics band. Maybe that's skewing my thought process a little bit. I'm certainly not there now. I'm out of the pool. My toes are in front of the heater. All the water's evaporated from my body, and I have never been in that pool. I'd like to plunge back in there head first at some point soon, and a nice win over the Bucks would help.
Have you learnt nothing from Sally's pub? I can't. You just.
Well, I have, and I'll never go that far again. At least not outside of my own brain. But I learned everything that day, everything that matters.
I can't get there. They've caused me too much stress over the past 2 playoff runs to think that they are good enough to cakewalk through. Like Tatum has the ability to go to a level where maybe we can cakewalk through if he's there every single night. But right now, it's not every night, and it's not even like. I mean, how many games have we played right now? We've played 14 games. Tonight, tonight I think I kind of have to put it in the he brought it night even though, I don't know. Do you like? It feels weird to be like he didn't bring it. He had 45 points, but my favorite version of Tatum is not just the scoring. It's like it's so obvious when he's locked in because, for example, the Raptors game where they blew them out in the third quarter, which they followed up with the Knicks game, Tatum played his best defense of the season across those 2 games, and that kind of always feeds into his offense, and I think bleeds into the rest of the team. And when he's not doing that, then I can't like give him a full. He brought it tonight.
Yeah, well, look, first half 10 of 15 from the field. Got to the line 7 times, 31 points, a plus 11. Got up 10 threes in the first half. And then second half, only 11 field goal attempts, 4 threes, a minus 13. Just like a mirror image of his impact in the first half there. So like it goes back to what you said to begin. Yeah, go ahead.
Go back to the first half for me for a second. Just like rebound. Yeah, 9 rebounds,
9 boards, 4 assists. Like, he's just everywhere.
That's what I'm saying. Like we kind of got that version, I think, more so in the first half, and he thought they could just kind of get it over the line by cruising. And obviously they weren't. But yeah, he obviously didn't bring it tonight. Didn't bring it against the Grizzlies. He was not awesome against the Raptors in the. He was. I thought he actually played well for the most part in the Raptors game. He missed a lot of shots. He had a choppy game against the Sixers, but then he had an awesome fourth quarter, and then was awesome against the Knicks and the Raptors. Thought he was bad against the Nets. Thought he was, even though that they won, they were bad against the first Sixers loss. And then the 6 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, he was excellent in the first 7 games despite the overtime loss to the Timberwolves. It's just, and also, again, relative. These are the expectations you have for someone as the best player on a title favorite and as a legitimate MVP candidate.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has been firmly in that conversation all year, aside from the last couple of games. And, all the basketball forevers of the world are going to just tweet out an image of him with his stat line under his face for today's game. And be like, oh, MVP Tatum. But we know that, two things, he had 45. He probably should have had 50, 60. 55, 60. But also Jaylen Brown should have had, what did he have in this game? It was... let me just pull up the full stats. So all periods, 13 on 17 shots. Yeah, not good. He just needed something from somebody. Which I suppose we should segue to Peyton Pritchard, who gave Tatum the biggest something from somebody with his 8 for 14 from the floor, 5 of 8 from 3. He was pretty solid defensively as well, I thought, on LaMelo Ball for the most part. Joe Mazzulla started, I think, overtime, if not the fourth quarter, with Peyton Pritchard, who deserved to have more playing time sooner, given that he was one of the only impactful players in this game. I guess like now's the point in the show, Jake, where we drill for optimism, and like if Pritchard's back, and he's been gradually reactivating parts of his game, right? And then tonight he like reactivated the shooting finally, and it was great to see, and the confidence.
We got the call from Drew Carter. It's the Pritching hour, which I believe, Ben, is a reference to NFL Red Zone, when in the first slate, there's like 8 games at once, and when they all get into the fourth quarter, this like Scott Hansen, he's just like the Wizard of Oz of the NFL and of NFL Red Zone, and he it's the witching hour where wins become losses and losses become wins. I believe the Pritching hour was a reference to the witching hour. Please chat, chime in and see if I'm wrong on that one, But Pritchard was fantastic, and I can see the bench. I mean the chat talking about our bench here.
Witching
I think
hour.
The witching hour is definitely not just a red zone thing, but
So midnight, with reference to the belief that witches are active and magic takes place at that time. Okay, well, magic was taking place.
Yes.
Or a period of time, typically in the early evening, when a baby or young child is prone to irritability or prolonged crying, which is how I've come to know witching hour in the last 3 years of my life and the first 3 years of my daughter's life. But, different strokes.
Yeah, look, same, basically. NFL Red Zone, not sleeping as a parent.
Sure.
Same.
Yeah, exactly the
but
same.
look, a lot of the chat talking about the bench and do we need to do anything. No, we don't. The bench, I thought, gave them a chance to win. And
Yes.
Pritchard did tonight what I believe that he's capable of doing 10 times a season while providing consistent bench play on a night-to-night basis while by knocking down shots and being a real NBA spacer with range out to 30 feet. To see him get going today, honestly, might be more important than the win or the loss, because if he's able to carry this play into the rest of the season, then that's an absolute win. But as far as making a move on the bench, back to back, you're going to miss 2 of your top 6 players. That's not a reason you make a move, because that's how teams have to deal with stuff in the regular season in the NBA. Not every team is going to be able to, or pretty much every team is not going to be able to survive missing 2 of their top 6 players on a night-to-night basis, especially on a back-to-back, even if the team that you're playing is not excellent. The bench is good. Brissett was solid. House has been fantastic. Cornette solid again. I'm sure you guys talked about Cater yesterday. I'm glad I didn't see him tonight.
Yeah. He looks so confused defensively against the Grizzlies. So you see, he spent more time looking over at the bench for instructions. It was amazing. He would go from looking at the bench, and it was only with enough time for the bench to be pointing behind you, and then he'd look back at a wide open corner shooter or a backdoor cut. It was brutal. So first game back, but I don't think Luke Cornett's going to lose any sleep over Cater getting the minutes over him yesterday.
No, because he was better than him today. Cornette
so much better.
He was plus 25. Luke Cornette positive.
Yeah, and yet, isn't it? I don't know. I suppose I should just love it for what it is. But if there's enough going on that it makes you appreciate Luke Cornette this much, then it's I wish there was more for me to focus on than Luke Cornette.
This is why I think it's a really frustrating loss, because I think it could have easily been a blowout. The fact that you get these performances from Pritchard. I know the chat down here was loving O'Shea. The bench was really good. Missoula went to Pritchard, Hauser, Cornette, O'Shea, Svi lineup, and they extended the lead.
Yeah. Is this beginning of the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're okay, because Jalen's got 5 fouls, which honestly may have been a good thing. But that meant that they
you're right.
They had to go to this lineup. And this lineup really succeeded. So there was absolutely nothing wrong with the bench. The fact that they were able to do this meant that they should have won by 20.
Yeah, and then we could have seen out there late in the game Walshy, according to Mary Poppins. I saw him lying on the ground, beautiful, majestic Walshy.
I was surprised,
bathing in the Charlotte Arena glow. I'm like, this guy's going to get in this game, especially how Tatum was playing in the first half. And it just did not go down that way. We got to see no Walshy, no JD, two guys who have been shredding the G League this year. Two guys in the unfortunate position of being slightly too good for the G League and not nearly good enough for the NBA.
Well, not really good enough to be on the one of the best teams in the
Celtics
NBA.
bench. Yeah, that's fair. It's a fair adjustment.
Like Walshy would be playing for the Detroit Pistons. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, for his NBA minutes this year, he plays for the Boston Celtics, which I think is actually a good thing for the long term for Jordan Walsh's career. Aussie feel Walshy's high fives were pretty solid. Yeah, man. I think he
dominated the high five game.
Yeah, I think that you can give him the Malik Fitz award for the game today. But but yeah, man, like the bench, Pritchard was cooking, dude. That possession where he was
my God.
in his bag, late shot clock, spin move, like put his shoulder, elbow, and then gets the clean look at the rim. Beautiful.
I have that timestamp. I just didn't have time to grab a clip. It was 8 minutes and 20 seconds left in the fourth when things were looking and feeling much better. I was like, wow, if the bench is doing this well without the Jays or Porzingis or Drew Holiday, then like wait till those guys come back in. Like this shit is over.
Yeah.
Not the case. But
wait till those great players come back in, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, but PP, I wish I knew who his defender was, but he absolutely sourced him, which is great. Yes. And then a couple of possessions later, he had a great skip pass, skipping multiple Celtics players, at least two, to an open Svi Mykhailiuk in the corner for a great fall-away three.
Knocked it down.
Brian Robb tweeted out after the first quarter, maybe after the first half, that Peyton Pritchard bumped his season three-point shooting percentage from 24% to 31%. Yeah, after that first quarter, which is what you can do if you're a low-volume shooter who has a sudden, sporadic, amazing shooting night. And he did that tonight. It was great to see.
Absolutely.
PP money shots all over the place.
Yeah, Riven. Finally, someone giving us some consistent D. Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
It's unbelievable. Rivens is really, like, I know, as a fellow small PP enthusiast, I'm really enjoying how I'm giving him his credit where necessary. Like, I feel like I was fair with Pritchard. He was really struggling earlier, and the fact that he was able to stick with it and keep doing the little things, that's the thing. He's able to do a lot of the little things, and when he's able to give you like a microwave scoring night, this is why I was excited about Pritchard coming into the season. Like, I've always been a Pritchard believer. Like, I believe in his basketball ability. He can do a lot of things. Again, defensively, solid. Someone who brought it defensively, the tiny big PP, the PPD.
He gorged himself in this game. And like the reason that we're so hung up on it, like if you're new to the stream here, is like, or new to the Celtics even, we need him. He's the eighth man. Like, clearly there's a bit of a drop off after PP. You could argue quite a significant drop off. Like, okay, if you're who we're going with, Peyton Pritchard, then okay, we need you to be all of the reasons that we re-signed you, and he just hadn't been much of that at all. But like I said, like he had been gradually reactivating. Just imagine, like Jurassic Park, where they're like the first one where they're down underground, like with they're on the phone and they're like gradually reactivating all of the switch points. It's like someone's doing that inside of Peyton Pritchard, shooting like they finally turned that on tonight. And unfortunately, as the lights came on, the Raptor was like right there on the other side of the wire fence, like waiting to. If only we were playing the Raptors. If only we were playing the Raptors in this game, that analogy would have landed. But I think you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that one. But yeah, he
speaking of drop-offs, huge drop-off as well in quality of film after Jurassic Park 1. But I might be aging myself with that take.
Yeah, Jurassic World wasn't awesome. And no activation of PPs in that one either, which always going to mean you're gonna cop a bit of a lower score from me when it comes to movies. But the activation of the PP has been definitely coming over the last few days. Like, he hit a couple of big threes, I think, against the Grizzlies as well. Mm-hmm. He's obviously the bright spot over the last couple of games, and again, that might be more important than the way that the broader team has played, because I am obviously very confident that they are still very good and that Jaylen Brown will be good again. And Drew Holiday will be good again, and Derek White will play basketball for the Celtics again, and so will Al Horford. So you get that eighth guy in there.
Derek White, man.
It's going to be okay.
I guess if I have to have like a positive takeaway from this game, I know I've put a few out there already, but like anything that, thanks Aussie Phil. Anything that sort of like shines a light on the purity of Derek White's soul and his like the necessity for everything that he brings to a basketball team, because he's been a productive player for a long time, going back to the Spurs, and it's just never really had the spotlight, and the ESPN Top 100 thing kind of like hammered that home, where he's just like not sort of recognized on a mainstream level, and yet like this amazing, this stacked, this best odds to win the championship Celtics team hasn't won a game without him. Which, I don't know. Just please come back, Derek. I hope that everything's fine in your world.
Yes, please. Yeah, the Bucks don't want to see him. A perfect matchup for Damian Lillard and Malik Beasley. Not silver linings. We probably need to talk about Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. 5 fouls, like midway through the third quarter, which was just a new way for him to kind of shit his pants in a game. We hadn't seen foul trouble Jaylen so much this season.
Not really. Yeah, that was definitely new. And the fifth one was really dumb. So a couple of them were really dumb. It's just so how many... He still ended up getting to 34 minutes, I guess, obviously, with the overtime. Jaylen, it's just hard because he really needs to be at least semi-efficient to really give you a productive night. That's just who he is as a player. And when it reminds me of the 7 for 22 night, game 2 at home against the Heat in the conference finals. You can't go 17. You can't go 5 for 17. And like if you're Jaylen Brown, because the reason you make a second team All NBA is because you average 26, 27 points a night on like 50% from the floor.
Yeah, I had like mostly good notes about Jaylen in this game. Obviously, it was not a good Jaylen game, and yet I think the reason I have good Jaylen notes is because there were like little moments of like clarity for him. So early in the game, he had some really good like playmaking chops. Where first he missed a wide open pass to a wide open Hauser in the corner, but then the next two plays he had I think a dump off for a dunk and then a kick out to Hauser for a three. Late in the game, he tried to end Mark Williams' life.
He does that.
And it looked like he got fouled, but the ball found Porzingis, who kind of like tapped it in for an and one, which was a bizarre sequence and goes back to what you were saying about KP's and ones and how they're incredible and how much he can do without hitting his three. And then late in the game, he had the ball top of the key. Joe Mazzulla screams for Porzingis to come over and set a screen. He does. He ghosts it. He flares out. The pass is never there. So JB just exercises patience. KP cuts down to the hoop, takes two defenders with him, and then Drew floats up from the corner. The pass is there. Jaylen makes it. And it's a wide open Drew Holiday three. One of the many made shots in the fourth quarter where I was like, that's it. That's the game. And then we just shat the bed defensively. But like JB, he had some good moments in this game in areas that we've been begging for as fans, which is like playmaking and poise. And, you know, while it didn't bear out on his shooting efficiency and certainly made some dumb fouls, I thought he had some good moments.
He did have some good moments, especially early, I thought. Yeah, he did. He absolutely did.
Not good enough, though, basically.
I mean, that's the thing. It's just not nearly good enough. Because we didn't need much, you know? This is what's honestly across the board. Like we didn't need much from one other guy or two other guys, and this game is a 12-point win. And it was it was almost a 10-point win. It's crazy how this was not comfortable. Like, they didn't play very well, but like they definitely played better than the night before and kind of walked away with it. And I do feel like that was partly to do with Jaylen. Like you look in the fourth quarter here, just 0 for 3 in the fourth quarter, and 1 for 3 in overtime. So 1 for 6 in the fourth quarter in overtime. It's just hurts.
I'm scrolling through Celtics Reddit now, like looking for any post-game quotes that we can use to like color analysis thus far, and it's just a total 50-50 mix of I want to part ways with Jaylen Brown forever and chill on the Jaylen Brown takes. It just divides the fan base time and time again. And I guess because it's tough to see the good, which is why I wanted to make sure I took some notes on how he impacted the game. But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, Jake, like his role is a scorer, right? Like he's not really a playmaker. He's a play finisher, and he didn't do enough of that. Hey, this podcast, Julius Rickles, was the Celtics Reddit podcast for, I want to say, 4 years before it became what it is today. So it holds a special place in my heart. And honestly, it's just a website that aggregates Celtics news that isn't Twitter. So it's not that bad. The good old days. Thanks, Julius Rickles.
Yeah, man. It's unfortunate, but it is part of Jaylen Brown's story now is the contract, and we've talked about him just trying to figure out his role. And today was a night where I didn't feel like he knew what he needed to do in order to help the Celtics win. I don't know where the KPJB 2-man game went, and
I thought they forced it early.
I never know whether to assign blame on the coach or the players for something like that. Like, it's clearly part of the game plan. Like, they've talked about how they practice it all the time. Joe's like, we like to get to it in very obvious situations. They just didn't go to it enough because the Hornets weren't switching a lot of the time. And even if they are, the Celtics have been really good. Like, Jaylen and KP have been good with, if people are switching, KP, like, just ghost screens. Mm-hmm. And Jaylen fires it to the 7'3" dude, and whoever the smaller defender is, KP is able to punish. They just they should always have. I out of the corner of my eye, it's like I thought it said JP and KP should do mushrooms, like the hotel rooms.
That would honestly help.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe not in the hotel room. They go back to the hotel room afterwards, but yeah, little KP JP. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me if they already have.
Yeah, JB knocks on KP's door, the hotel after tonight. It's like holds up a little baggie and he's like, "I'm coming in."
Yeah, we got Adventure Time queued up here, and we're just gonna vibe.
Yeah, bus 2 isn't until 10 a.m. Let's go. Well, they're not on bus 1. Maybe they should be. Maybe they should vibe with the bus 1 boys to try and get some chemistry.
Well, Pritchard certainly shouldn't be on bus 1 at this point. He should be.
Yeah, he's got his own private jet at this point, man. He's incredible.
The crypto scammer. I mean, I was all ready for the Dogecoin to the moon tweets and all that kind of stuff, but now we're robbed. We're robbed of all the crypto memes until the next Pritchard performance that actually leads into a win.
I mean, I think we've pretty much hit on everything. We've talked about, Porzingis being impactful despite poor shooting. One thing. Joe taking out Porzingis on the last defensive possession. Yes. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's bad.
Well, that's bad. The Twitterverse was saying it was so that we could be more switchable.
I don't care. Yeah.
But how many blocks has Porzingis had?
What are we doing, dude? It's that was an over coach.
Yeah.
I like that he thought about it, but
a little too much.
Porzingis has been unbelievable. He literally had the game-winning block yesterday.
Yeah. This is where you need the veteran assistant coaching staff to be like, Joe, I see what you're doing here, but you're taking it too far. Just like simplest approach is the right one at all times.
You can switch with Porzingis. He's been fine, absolutely fine on switches.
Mm-hmm. Or just play drop.
Yeah, dude. It was very, very bad. Very, very bad. I can't imagine we'll ever see that again now.
No. Yeah, and so this was, I don't know. Mentally, I can't help but like skew towards like this is the team making mistakes and learning from them and the coaching staff. Sure. And yet, like, there's so much room for error with this Hornets team where you can make so many mistakes and still win. And that's what happened against the Grizzlies and the Raptors. Yeah, so close. And like, you can't, fuck up the coaching of Drew Holiday not making those free throws. And there's just so many situations like that. Like, Jason Tatum missed a few, I won't call them bunnies, but very makeable layups down the stretch as well. And yeah, like Mark Williams is a emergingly
he's really
elite
good.
rim protector, but like, come on, JT, like you got that.
Oh yeah, and like he beat him. He had obviously one that like went around the rim, and just like one that that hit the backboard and missed the rim, where he had him beat. He just kind of rushed it at the rim, which I guess is credit to Mark Williams. Making JT think about it due to his presence throughout the game. But that's what's frustrating, because you can point to like so many different things right here where they win the game either close or by a lot. Like the JT missed layups, the Drew Holiday free throws, the KP free throws. Like, what do they even end up from the free throw line? 64%, 10 free throw misses. That's the second time this year. I feel like that's happened. We are better. We are 10th in the league in free throw percentage this year.
That's not that bad.
79.2%. But it should be higher. Tatum's free throw percentage is down. That's honestly probably last year they were 4th at 81.2. It's an outlier free throw shooting performance game, but like everybody should shoot free throws at practice tomorrow.
Yeah, when Tatum went to the line for those 3, were you like, he definitely won't make these? Like, where was your head at?
He was going to miss one. I was not confident at all.
Yeah, I was like, he's going to miss 2.
Okay. Well, but then you made the first 2, and I was like, he's going to make the third one. Isn't that the easiest one to make? Is the third one after you make the first 2? No, because
that's the shot. That's the most pressure.
But you've got the
I would imagine, having never been in any kind of pressure or under any kind of pressure in my life.
But you've got the feel. You got the feel. He swished the first 2.
Mm-hmm.
Usually that's like, okay, I got the range down. Easy money.
Question in the chat here from Razan Khan. Do you guys watch Celtics games while working? I know the time difference is quite significant. Jake, do you want to answer this one first?
I typically watch the games like after I work. So I finished working at midday, and then I got home at like 12:30, and the game had started at 11. So I just watched it on delay, and then I'm done for the day. Now that I don't have a 9 to 5 job, I typically just watch it, and then the other days I'm just free to watch. Absolutely
incriminating.
Yeah, hang on, Razan Khan. Is this the long con? Do you work for whatever company Ben works for?
Yeah, are you my boss? Am I about to implicate myself? Yeah, I just I work from home, so I go into the office occasionally, but for the most part, whether I'm in the office, if I'm in the office, I'll just put the game on my phone and watch it in the office while I'm working. If I'm at home, I'll work on the couch, watch it on the TV, and just like try my best to not have any meetings scheduled during the game. Yeah. Although lately that has failed me. Certain people that you can't ask to reschedule. But yeah, you make it work. And we've talked about this before, but like to the point where when I traveled to the States, like my wife and I went to the States for 6 weeks for a honeymoon and traveled around and saw a bunch of Celtics games while we were there. But the idea of games being on at night when I wanted to do stuff like go out to dinner and go out, whatever, that was more difficult. Whereas like in the middle of the day when you've got less on, it almost felt like it was an easier time to watch the game. So I think it works out really well. And Sam Vecini moved to Melbourne, I think because of something that his wife does. But like his work day is like get up, and it's essentially a 9 to 5 work day covering the NBA, which is kind of incredible. So it's a pretty healthy time zone, I think.
Oh yeah, so the games come on anywhere between 10 a.m. and like 1 p.m. depending on the time, like the daylight savings period of the season. But right now, 11 a.m. was when the Hornets game starts. The Bucks game's 11:30 a.m. Yeah, Rivens. Like I'm not playing it safe. I don't have a corporate job anymore, which I did for the last 7 years. Now I do like a couple of part-time jobs. Like I'm a swim teacher and a call center person. So like I can spend more time doing podcast stuff. And those hours I've specifically found jobs that line up outside of the NBA schedule. So like I work in the mornings or later in the evenings. And so the NBA's on in the middle of the day. So just for you guys.
And CLNS do pay us, not very much, but like the more pods we do, the more money we get, the more ads we read. So, it's like we would do it anyway. We would do it for nothing. In fact, even with CLNS, like this podcast operates at cost. So it's like very much we do it because we love it. But we will find a way to continue doing this show no matter what until life stipulates otherwise. Anyway, appreciate the questions, chat.
Yeah, it's a great question. But like Julius Rickles though, so that's actually, it's easier for us to sleep because we have so long to like wind down. Like I don't understand how people that are in the States go to sleep sleep at all during the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Like if you're in like these Eastern games that are ending at like 10:30, 11 and the Derek White game 6 game winner, I'm not sleeping for days, dude. Good luck with that.
Yeah. You can go for a walk in the sunshine after a brutal Celtics loss in this part of the world. And it's very helpful, beneficial to the soul. There's a great a reel on our Instagram page, First to the Floor 18 on Instagram, of after a playoff loss, I think against the Hawks. It's like Jake staring out the window into the sunset, drinking a beer while Hello, My Darkness Old Friend plays in the background. It's very, very good.
Oh, man. Yes, exactly, dude. Yeah, I'm going to go shoot hoops in the sun now after this.
Nice.
It's just like...
I want your ligaments, Jake.
As soon as I said it, I'm like, damn it. Rubbing it in.
All good. It's all good. I'm on the recovery trail. It's all good.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. But I think our time zone is the best time zone to actually watch the NBA. It's assuming you don't have like a very stressful, like you got to be paying attention job, which I will try to never have ever in my life, unless it's this job, doing this, which I would be. That's the goal. That's the goal. Like, just keep doing this, and then who knows? Who knows what happens? And if you're not doing it, then you're not in a position to take it further. So, I think, I don't know. We could continue to talk about this, but the Celtics lost, and I don't feel good. We'll be back tomorrow, though, right? We're going to do a proper podcast, and we'll have Spoonie. I think we really need Spoonie to help us process what's happening in the current state of the Celtics universe, and then honestly rev up for the Bucks game. Yeah, Spoonie's going to come in and be like, it's all right, guys, I have the data. Here's why you shouldn't be worried. At least that's what I need him to do. So and he usually skews that way, and is probably the most analytical of all of us, although I think you're up there as well, Jake. But I think that he'll go digging for like the good news, you know what I mean? And via the data, and probably bring that. Yes. But we'll see. Someone in the chat, Mary Poppins, Spoonie makes me feel safe. Us too. Absolutely. Anything else you want to get to? Like, I know we're riffing here. No, man. I think... anything else? I think we're good. Unfortunately, I don't think we got any... The Schadenfreude were struggling. The Bucks have definitely stabilized. Like, this game on Thursday is going to be big. The Sixers are rolling. Like, the Heat are rolling too. Honestly, they blew a bad game to the Bulls the other day, but other than that, man, the Eastern Conference, the top 4 teams to me feel pretty obvious, and it's a big game. It's a good measuring stick game, and it's gonna do a lot for the narratives of the season. Unfortunately, even if the Celtics lose, I'm gonna feel like they match up well with the Bucks regardless. Mm-hmm. But the Bucks gave up 100. They won today. They put up 142 on the Wizards, but they also gave up 129 against the Wizards. So, I at least if the Celtics lose, it won't be a disaster, because I think it's going to be easy for the Celtics to generate points. Yeah, they gave up 129 to the Wizards, who are apparently already trying to trade Jordan Poole, which is hilarious news. But they don't qualify for the Schadenfreude report on account of being terrible. With the Bucks game, I feel like when we struggle against some good teams, like we did in the first matchup against the Sixers, the thought is like, okay, we need to go away and play a few kind of like middling teams and sort of recalibrate and refine ourselves before we go back and play a good team again. And we did that. And then the next time we played the Sixers, despite our absences, we won the game. Now I feel like we're just kind of like lackadaisical against some bad teams, and we need to play like a significant game to wake us back up, and that's what this Bucks game is. So I'm excited for it. I'm just going back and looking at the Bucks kind of play-by-play just to see how close this game actually was. It was a 1-point game in the fourth quarter. The Wizards were winning in the fourth quarter at one point.
I mean, we just lost to the Hornets, so look.
On a back-to-back with missing 2 starters. Let's see if they're missing anybody. Because that's going to make me feel bad. Middleton, Giannis, Dame, all played. So, take that. How about that?
There you go. There's your Schadenfreude report for tonight.
And the Hornets are better than the Wizards. The Hornets are better than the Wizards anyway. Like, they actually have some talent, despite the record. They, as much as I fucking hate Miles Bridges, he is a good player. And
man, that shot.
Like, for all people as well.
Yeah, and just the any glorification of that human being is a loss for society. And then you got the courtside interview after the game.
I know, yeah.
And that's tough. Like, I don't know. I'm not qualified to go down this rabbit hole, but, just the person interviewing him, obviously female, and you're just like, come on, guys, what are you doing? It's a terrible look, despite his on-court production. Yeah.
All of it. Yeah, man. We Celtics missed an opportunity to squash all that shit too. But the Bucks almost lost to the Wizards, so let's feel good.
Yep. Let's leave it on that. A good note. Feel good that the Bucks almost shat the bed, just as the Celtics did today. Please go ahead, like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help us navigate the very confusing and difficult algorithm. We're going to be back 8 p.m. East. That's midday Australian Eastern Standard Time tomorrow with Wayne Spooner to talk about, the game against the Hornets, but also just holistically this stretch and look at the 6-game homestand coming up. Jesse in the chat, leave it to Jake to make us feel better. Jordan Poole is the source of some of the greatest content and meme fodder I've seen in a while. Aussie Phil, absolutely. So shout out to everyone in the chat for riding with us here. A bit of a skeleton crew of Celtics sickos after a brutal loss.
The OGs, we've got a bunch of legends in the chat.
Right. We appreciate all of you. Thanks for having out. That's going to do it for Celtics Late Night. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow. Jake, love your work, mate. Until next time, peace.